Heat may be stealing children's learning before school even starts. As a clinician, this is the kind of risk that hides in plain sight. No infection, no injury, just hotter days and slower development. A new study tracked young children across several countries and found a troubling pattern. When temperatures rose high enough, early learning milestones fell. The study was published in the Journal of Child Psychology and Psychiatry. It focused on children between ages 3 and 4 across 6 countries. Researchers linked child development records with climate data. They examined children in Gambia, Georgia, Madagascar, Malawi, Palestine, and Sierra Leone. They used a tool called the Early Childhood Development Index. It measures early progress in literacy, numeracy, physical growth, social skills, and approaches to learning. The lead author was Jorge Cuartas at New York University. Co-authors included researchers from the Inter-American Development Bank and the University of Chicago. What stood out was not a vague trend, it was a measurable drop in key early learning skills during hotter conditions. Children exposed to average maximum temperatures above 86 degrees Fahrenheit were less likely to hit basic literacy and numeracy milestones. Compared with children in cooler conditions, they were about 5 to nearly 7% less likely to meet those benchmarks. That may sound small at first, but across thousands of children, it signals a real shift in how heat can shape development. And this was early childhood. That window matters because the brain is building fast, long before formal schooling becomes the main influence. Think of early development like pouring a house foundation in wet cement. If heat changes the setting process, the whole structure can be affected later. The strongest effects showed up in reading and basic math readiness. Those are the skills that help children enter school prepared to learn. And this fits a wider pattern that pediatric and public health groups have been warning about for years. The American Academy of Pediatrics has noted that children face higher climate-related health burdens because of immature physiology, higher exposure relative to body size, and dependence on caregivers. In other words, young children are not just small adults. They are biologically and socially more exposed. UNICEF has also warned that heat exposure is already massive and growing. In one major global estimate, about 559 million children were already exposed to high heat wave frequency, and by 2050, that figure could reach more than 2 billion children. That does not mean every child will have the same outcome, but it does mean the background risk is spreading. So when this new study finds lower odds of reaching basic school readiness milestones in hotter conditions, it is landing inside a much larger climate and child health story, not appearing out of nowhere. Why would heat affect learning in a child this young? One likely reason is biology. Infants and young children regulate body temperature less efficiently than adults and can dehydrate more quickly. When the body is stressed by heat, attention, sleep, mood, and energy can all suffer. For a young child, those are the raw materials of learning. The World Health Organization specifically notes that vulnerability to heat is shaped not only by age and health, but also by exposure and socioeconomic conditions. That matters here because a child's risk is never just about the number on a thermometer. It is also about whether the home can cool down at night, whether clean water is available, and whether caregivers have the time and resources to respond. Heat can also disrupt the home environment. Caregivers get exhausted, sleep gets worse, play changes, routines break. Meals and hydration may become harder to manage. And learning in early childhood is not just lessons. It is conversation, exploration, memory, focus, and the ability to stay engaged. There is also emerging scientific support for looking at heat exposure across the earliest stages of life. A recent systematic review indexed in PubMed examined prenatal and early childhood ambient heat exposure and developmental outcomes, adding to the concern that heat may influence development well before traditional academic testing ever begins. That broader evidence does not prove every mechanism here, but it helps explain why this study's findings make biological and public health sense. The harm was not evenly distributed. Children in poorer households were hit harder. So were children in homes with limited access to clean water. That matters because heat becomes more dangerous when hydration and sanitation are unreliable. Children in dense urban areas also showed stronger effects. Cities can trap heat, especially where shade, green space, and cooling are limited. This is the climate story people often miss. Heat does not land on a level playing field. Two children can face the same temperature. The child with water, shade, rest, and safer housing gets a very different outcome. That is why climate change is also an inequality story. It magnifies risks that families are already carrying. WHO and UNICEF both make this point in different ways. Children in poorer settings are often more exposed and less protected at the same time. The hazard is the heat itself. The damage is shaped by infrastructure, housing, caregiving strain, water access, and neighborhood design. That helps explain why urban heat, poverty, and developmental vulnerability can stack on top of one another. The temperature may be shared, protection is not. Global child health groups have been warning about this direction for years. UNICEF says children are uniquely exposed because their bodies and daily environments are more fragile. The World Health Organization also notes that climate-related health risks fall hardest on vulnerable groups, including children and low-income communities. And UNICEF has warned that hundreds of millions of children already face high heat wave exposure, with that burden expected to grow sharply by mid-century. This new paper adds something important. It connects heat not only to illness, but to developmental progress before kindergarten. That should change how we think about adaptation. Cooling is not just comfort. It may be part of protecting brain development. Water access matters. Shade matters. Ventilation matters. Urban planning matters. Early childhood programs may need heat-aware routines and safer indoor environments. The most unsettling part is how quiet this effect can be. A child does not need to collapse from heat for heat to do damage. The cost may show up as slower learning, missed milestones, and a harder start. That means climate change may be reshaping childhood in ways parents and schools cannot easily see in real time. The study source was New York University, and the research appeared in the Journal of Child Psychology and Psychiatry. Its message is simple and urgent. When the planet heats up, childhood changes with it, and some of the first losses may happen in the earliest years, before the world is even paying attention.